What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is a term that gets thrown around a lot at the moment, and which is often hailed as some kind of fix-all for every kind of problem under the sun. Mindfulness is part self-help technique, part clinical tool, and has lately grown to spawn countless e-books, courses, and evening classes. But what precisely is it, and how do you define it? Mindfulness, an explanation. Boiled down to its essence, mindfulness is the observation of one's own thoughts and emotions. In other words, it means stepping back and then simply being aware of what you're feeling, what you're thinking and what you are experiencing. This can then in turn be used to help treat a wide range of different psychological problems, and to generally improve your psychological health. The reason for this is that it brings more attention to the way that we handle various different events, and to how our thoughts and emotions normally control us. This then in turn allows us to anticipate them, to deal with them, and ultimately to prevent them. For instance, someone who deals with social anxiety will likely have a number of ruminations that contribute to their symptoms. These might include worries that they will make a fool of themselves, that they will be laughed at, that they will stammer. Many of these thoughts are likely to be inaccurate, but it is only by being aware of them that it's possible to manipulate them, to rise above them, or to suppress them entirely. Uses of mindfulness. When used to combat such conditions as social anxiety, mindfulness can be seen as a clinical tool. Specifically, it is an important part of CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy. This is a psychotherapeutic approach that involves the practice of essentially replacing and reprogramming underlying thoughts, beliefs and ruminations. At the same time though, mindfulness has also long been a part of other meditative practices. Here, the goal can often be somewhat different. In this case, the objective is to be more aware of the present moment in terms of the sensations, the sounds, and the emotions. By practicing this, they can eventually become more present in the moment, and better able to react to what's going on around them, without judgment, and without the constant brain chatter that so many of us experience. Mindfulness is a broad tool then to be used in a number of different ways. In almost every scenario though, the true end goal is to be aware of the present moment, and to find an inner calm that often eludes us. Why mindfulness is the perfect antidote to modern living. As much as many of us choose to overlook it, there is a lot wrong with the way most of us currently live our lives. We evolved in an environment completely foreign to the world we live in now, and adapted to gain abilities and traits that in many ways leave us unsuited for our current environment. We sit in chairs all day long gaining weight, we eat processed foods, and we face constant stresses from work, from our relationships, and from our finances. What's more, we are constantly in demand, and constantly plugged in and stressed out. Our phones are always ringing, texts are always coming in, we get a new email every 2 minutes. And even when most of us aren't working or being bothered, we have a near addiction to technology that means we're still unable to really decompress. Is it any wonder that mental health problems are so rife? Using mindfulness to escape modern stress. This is probably a big part of the reason that mindfulness is so popular right now. Mindfulness simply means directing attention in a purposeful manner. Sometimes this will mean focusing on our thoughts, in an objective and non-judgmental way, but in other cases it will mean simply being more present, and focusing on our breathing, and our environments. Either way, the idea of mindfulness is to enjoy a calmness, and to stop the incessant chatter of our minds. When you are completely engaged with the world around you, or when you decide to disengage with your thoughts, it provides you with relief from stress, and from fear, and instead allows you to simply relax, and recover. Mindfulness for concentration. What's more, practicing mindfulness is also the perfect tool for improving concentration. Mindfulness forces you to develop a mental discipline that is sorely lacking for many of us today. Too often, most of us have things vying for our attention. While we have allegedly become better at multitasking as a result, we've also become much worse at focusing on one thing for extended periods. This makes it harder for us to read a large passage of text, for instance, or to work without feeling the need to continuously check Facebook. Again, mindfulness is the perfect tonic. Here, you are tasked with focusing on your environment, your thoughts or your feelings for an extended period of time. And as such, you improve your own focus and mental discipline. A guide to your first meditative session for beginners. Meditation is something that we're constantly being encouraged to use. Every self-help guru, every highly successful individual, and even many athletes trumpet its many benefits, and the research too seems to back up its value. So why don't more people practice it? The main problem for most of us is that it's really rather daunting, obtuse, and complicated. Meditation is ultimately about reaching enlightenment, and an inner peace, right? Sounds a bit heavy for a Friday evening. The real question for many people then is where to start. This video and succeeding video in this channel will provide you with a good starting point, and help you with your first meditative experience. From there, you should feel a little more confident to try it again in the future. Some tips to begin with. The first tip is to set yourself a timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is a short enough amount of time that most of us will be able to fit it into our busy schedules, and by setting an alarm you prevent yourself from having to keep checking the clock to see how much longer you have. This is not conducive to meditation as you might imagine. The next tip is to sit comfortably in a chair or cross-legged. You don't want to lie down for fear of falling asleep, but you should be comfortable. The next thing you're going to do is to focus. This can mean focusing on your breath, or repeating a mantra, a word of your choice, over and over. This will be your anchor, and you will come back to this whenever your mind starts to wander. If you struggle with these anchor, another option is to watch a flame. Lighting a candle, and watching it can be a surprisingly effective form of meditation. Now just be for 10 minutes. The mistake many people make here is to try and force themselves to have a still mind devoid of thoughts. This is almost impossible for a beginner, and will lead to nothing but stress. Instead, we'll take the mindfulness approach of simply letting the mind wander. When it does, make a note of it, and simply focus back on your anchor. This removes the stress and gives you a safe environment in which to practice directing your attention inwards. The same goes for itching and coughing, just let it happen, and then return. Try to repeat this 3 times a week for a couple of months and see what happens. You'll be glad you did. Mindfulness is becoming an increasingly hot topic. It is a great way to deal with stress, and improve yourself. Here are 5 reasons that mindfulness improves your mind, body, and soul, helping you become the best version of yourself possible. Number 1. Decreases stress. Stress is an unfortunate part of everyone's life. Deal with your struggles in a healthy way by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness will help decrease stress by stopping the release of certain hormones, relieving muscle tension, and separating you from distractions. This will also help to prevent against illnesses such as cardiovascular disease. Number 2. Improves memory. Mindfulness improves the part of the brain associated with memory. More specifically, it helps you make new memories, as opposed to living in the past. As you become more mindful, you will better be able to live in the moment, and appreciate the new memories as they come to you. Number 3. Increases emotional stability. Emotional stability is the key to having a happy and content life. Mindfulness allows the left and right hemispheres of the brain to work together, letting you connect your emotional responses to events in everyday life. This allows your emotions to be more accurate to the event at hand, and less extreme. Mindfulness also teaches you how to respond to situations, as opposed to react. The more you intentionally respond, the better you will be at controlling your emotions whenever times are tough. Number 4. Increases compassion. Many people think that compassion is something you are either born with, or not. This is not true. Mindfulness can help you become more compassionate to others, and yourself. As your compassion increases, your relationship with your loved ones, and others in the world improves dramatically. Similarly, self-compassion allows you to better understand yourself, and stop being your own worst critic. Number 5. Improves well-being. Mindfulness helps you be more content with your life. From motivation at work to satisfaction in your relationships, mindfulness improves your overall well-being. This will then help you appreciate all of life's phases, even the tough ones. To take back control of your entire life, start practicing mindfulness. It will improve your mind, body, and soul for a variety of reasons. As you start practicing mindfulness, remember to be patient and kind to yourself, since mindfulness is not easy at first. See you in the next video for mindfulness meditation tips.